and welcome back to Reactioncast. It's your host Jesus, aka Tyrant. Dominus here to give you another anime review. This time around, we're going to be talking about an Archdemon's Dilemma: How to Love Your Elf Bride.
伝えなければいけない言葉がある。俺はネフィを傷つけた。もう二度と一人になんてしない。必ず守ってみせる。だから、俺はご主人様ではなく名前で呼んでほしい。奴隷でも使用人でも弟子でもない、そういう関係になりたいんだ。
それは
つまりお前がねえ、お前は俺のものだ。いつまでも一生、どちらかが死ぬまで、いや死んでもだ。
So this is one of the few animes that I actually read the manga first, and so I wanted to see how well it got adapted, and to kind of give a brief synapse of the film, of the show. You follow this fierce sorcerer named Zagan, who is kind of this very aloof, very stern, very powerful, sorcerer in a world where sorcerers are basically, to put it simply, demonized and hated by, your classic, the church trope here. And so, during the first episode, kind of just getting a glimpse, he is invited by one of his friends to an auction where he acquires a elf as a slave. He falls in love, literally spends all his money, and then they kind of start living together. And the elf is named Nefi. And this is kind of the way the story is kind of told of these two individuals. One with his very kind of very introverted personality, who's very hard. They talk a lot in their head, and any words they say does not come out the way they want to say it, and it's really funny. And Nefi, this very very self-destructive is not really the word, but self-loathing kind of character who's really kind of lost all semblance for what her past is. And that's kind of the justification of the show, the initial 12 episode thing to kind of start out. So the show visually is all right. They go for more of a cutesy and sometimes chibi vibe at times. When looking back, I went back and read a little bit of some of the chapters. It has that same flair. It's not as sharp as from reading it. The lines are a lot softer. The animation's really lovely and nice. The audio tones for this show is very moving, fits the scenes. There's a lot of times where I'm enjoying it, and I'm like, okay, I'm really liking this. It's sweet. I love the key moments they did keep in the season. There are some moments that are removed for time purposes, and I feel as far as the plot, where you're getting Zagan trying to have some level of relationship with Nefi. Along the lines, some more characters get introduced, and they become a larger group, a larger family, and it's fun. It's fun to see the interaction of these two very ill-equipped people who barely have any semblance of themselves try to interact with others. But they have a fun group that gets along. Mischief happens, fights happen, there are demons. There are things that they fight, actions and stuff. There's some fun action sequences, and like I said, this is where we're going back to what I meant visually when I mean sharp. There are some of the moments where the intense moments, the very poignant scenes felt softer than I, going back and reading them, they just didn't like hit as hard. There's like key moments that didn't hit as hard. The sweet moments really were like did hit moments that because of the way the art style and the way the animation flowed, and the way the music flowed, it worked well. All the sweeter, lovelier moments worked really well. It's most of the time when it's those like key, like some key action sequences or some key moments of intensity or dramaticism, it just never hit as hard as what I felt. But not to say that it didn't do its job. It wasn't that great. It's more or less, in my opinion, a reasonable adaptation for the Archdemon dilemma from what we got from the book. Maybe there's some stuff missing from the light novel. I personally have not read the light novel, but as far as the adaptation from manga to anime, it's did a job. If it continues to in its second season, we'll see, because it gets a little bit more intense. Hopefully they sharpen up some of those moments, because it's going to get more intense. Because at least season 1 was, for the most part, some really fun character development, some really like overall group development, and world building. They did a reasonable good job with world building and stuff like that to kind of get you interested in this world. And yeah, and then overall, the main characters of Zagan and Nefi, they are very fun to watch on screen, adorable. And I think that's where the scenes where it's more of that cutesy, like chibi kind of visual and vibes that work well. And once again, kind of going back, the drive of some of the more intense dynamic scenes aren't like as like very sharp and intense, where I wish they were. It would add, it might be a slight change to a bit of the art style, but it could work. It works like in, like I've seen it work in other shows. I wish it could have in this, but for the most part, it did a good job. Actually, who worked on this one? Studio Brain Base. Okay, I'll look into what else they did. But yeah, overall, it's a fun watch. If you're looking for a kind of more like rom-com, I would consider this a rom-com. It's a romance comedy. It has a little bit of everything. It's fun. It's cute. It has some intense moments in battle sequences. It has some like really enjoyable characters, I would say. Some other characters are lackluster, but as far as your main two, they are enjoyable to watch. And those are my thoughts. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, about an Archdemon's dilemma, how to love your elf bride. And if you're listening to this on any other podcast platform, follow me on any of the social medias and let me know your thoughts there. But yeah, so thanks again for listening or watching. Until next time, see ya. See ya. See ya. See ya.